Hey everybody, it's Jordan with Warpfire Minis. We've had the Warpfire Challenge going for a year now, and what that is where customers can come in, you can schedule a game with me, and if you end up beating the Skaven, you win a limited edition black and gold Warpfire dice that's really cool, and you get put into a drawing where you can win a free 2,000 point army of anything you want. Right now, the Skaven, we're sitting at 44-10 overall, so I'm going to make it tough for you, but just going to go through our most recent challenge game. Yesterday we had a Bonereapers player roll in, so I'll show you how it shook out. All right, so today's challenge game, we have Skaven versus the Bonereapers. And Bonereapers, they're one of the big bads right now. They're really good. They're running Null Myriad, so they ignore all your spells on a 2-up, as long as they're within range of Archon, or one of their Mortisans, so it's just all the time. So going in, I know this is going to be a really tough game. Going to have to play a good one, but we can do it. Jumping into deployment, and first up is terrain. So gnaw holes, setting those up in the right places is very important. For this matchup, I noticed that he doesn't have any real shooting. So if you deploy your gnaw holes in the corners, there's a cool trick you can do. And I'll show you that when we get to it in the game. But otherwise, I just put them in the corners. That way I can jump through, get onto this objective, or potentially score surround and destroy later. If I put a little Gracie or something in the corner, he can be within 6 inches of the battlefield edge. Makes it for easy battle tactic later. And Bonereapers, they're fairly elite. So if he wants to dedicate a unit to go sit and camp in this corner or that corner to block off my gnaw hole and not use them in the game, like, again, that's a win for me if he's wasting a unit to do that. For actual deployment of my army, I have a Warp Grinder and 10 Plague Sensor Bears that I always put into Deep Strike. And the big benefit of that is that a lot of armies are going to run like a 1-drop or 2-drop doing the battle regiments. And so by deploying the Grinder into Deep Strike and then the Plague Sensor Bears, I usually get to see how my opponent's going to deploy their entire army before I even set up a model of mine on the board. And so that was the case in this game. He deployed like that. And so I got to say, okay, what do I think he's going to go first? Do I think he's going to go second? And then deploy how I think. So for this one, it's every step forward is the mission. In this one, the deployment zones are just huge and pretty far away from each other. So my deployment wasn't super important to like have everything perfectly tight. He doesn't have any real teleports to jump out and get me. So I know turn 1, I'm pretty safe. So we just put some clan rats near these objectives I'm going to go to. Rats and priests and stuff near the gnaw hole to get the bonus. Keep everybody within death frenzy ranges and then the buff spell ranges. And that's how we deployed. When I deployed, I imagined that he was probably going to give me the first turn. A lot of his things are pretty fast, where if I push up onto objectives, he's going to have a chance to push in and charge me. So we set up as if we were going to go first, and he did end up giving me the first turn. So we'll jump into how that went. So looking at the board, I know he's going to want to jump on me. So my initial plan was, I'm just going to take these clan rats, put them up onto this objective, these clan rats up onto this objective, and just have big threats behind him. Hope that in his turn he's going to push up, maybe not make the charge, and then if he wins prior to the next turn, takes the double, he's going to hit my screens, then it'll go to my turn and I can clap him back. And that's the good safe play, and it's probably the play that I should have made, but I went through my hero phase, I chose Magical Dominance for my battle tactic, and on the Warbringer, I just got all my buffs off. So he's got Mystic Shield, he's got Flaming Weapon, he's got Death Frenzy, we got Death Frenzy on the Plague Sensor Bears, we got a Bless on him, like, everything's going right, and the greed crept into my heart. And so the Purple Gracier, he knows Skitter Leap, and so I ended up Skitter Leaping the Warbringer all the way over here. And I put the Warbringer over here, just thinking that if I make this 9-inch charge, I'm going to be able to kill 2 or 3 of these Morghasts. And in his list, those Morghasts and a group of 6 Stalkers are pretty much the only 2 big threats. So I've got Death Frenzy on me. I think I can go in and I can kill these Morghasts. And then if he does try to kill me back with something, I'm going to take them down with me too. And I positioned him behind this piece of terrain to where if I end up failing the charge, he's only going to be able to squeeze in 2 Morghasts to fight me back. And the Warbringer should live anyways. And it's going to prevent him from sending those Morghasts straight over to this objective. If I've got my clan rats and stuff, like, it's a little bit of a bait piece there that he might jump on. And so we sent that up there, and then we started moving. So we ran these clan rats over here onto this objective. We moved the Hell Pit over here just behind him, toe tapping the objective. And we wanted to keep him kind of within 3, but outside of 2, depending on where they hit. The Plague Sensor Bearers just ran over this way. Same idea, we just want to be able to counterpunch him. If he comes and hits us, we're going to hit him back. This squad of Clan Rats, we ran up onto this objective. Then we moved Screech over here, just again, same idea as the Hell Pit. We're just touching the objective to get 5 more bodies on and potentially counterpunch if they hit us. All right, this purple Gracier, we just moved over here next to the Gnawhole. Then we just ran these heroes over this way, getting within 3 of these Plague Sensor Bearers, and just keep it in range where we can buff them later on next round. And then we got to the end of the movement phase. I realized that I got too excited. The Warbringer's there. I'm looking at it like, I need to make this charge. And with 3 claw steps, I can get 3 chances at it. But in order to do that, I need another unit in charge range. And I don't have that right now. And the only way for me to get that is I can drop in my Plague Sensor Bearers with the Warp Grinder. But then I need someone in range to be able to reroll the charge. And so what we do is we teleport this Gracier over here to the corner behind this Gnawhole. And that cool trick with the Gnawhole is there's no room for anyone to actually fit their base back there to get him. So right now he is unchargeable. And since he doesn't have any shooting in his list, there's no real way for him to get to this Gracier outside of magic. And Archon is not going to want to waste like Curse of Years and stuff like that on a Gracier in the corner. What this also does is this puts me, I have a wizard now within 30 inches of Archon for in his battle round to try and do unbinds if he tries to go for magical dominance. So pretty cool trick. You can do that on both corners and just easy surround and destroy, and it keeps your heroes safe, which is also our grand strategy. So pretty sweet. Gracier goes in the corner. We drop in the Plague Sensor Bearers and the Warp Grinder over here. Then we make it to the charge phase. I made sure to have the Gracier. He's wholly within 12 of this Warp Grinder. So that's the first charge roll I'm going to make. And I need to do that for my 3 claw step stuff, because I can roll my first charge roll. If I don't like it, I can re-roll it. And then if either one of those are good, I can use it for the rest of my army. Then if it's not, then I still go like, okay, next the Plague Sensor Bearers, boom, we try our charge roll. So that's what gives you the 3 tries at it. So we try and roll a charge with the Warp Grinder. We roll Snake Eyes, don't make it. So we re-roll it, we roll a 5. So again, we don't make it. We roll the Plague Sensor Bearers, we fail, we don't make it. Then the big one, the Warbringer, we roll it, we hit the 10, the Warbringer's in. When we charge him in, the Bonereaper terrain piece is also impassable. So again, I'm hitting him here, and I want it to make it to where only 2 of the Morghast are going to be able to hit me back, because moving 3 inches, he's not going to be able to fly over that terrain piece, and he's also not going to be able to just fit the bases because they're real big. So we charge in over there, we do a pile in just to touch the objective, and then we go to combat. For the Warbringer, when you're within 3 inches of the Morghast, you can't receive commands. So he has the Tyrant of Battle, which normally gives me +1 to hit, +1 to wound, and really soups up his damage, but I can't do that here. So we roar the Morghasts, we fail. We go into swing, and we spike though, so things are turning around. We end up doing 27 damage with the Warbringer. The Morghasts are 6 wounds each, so like massive. But since they're the Morghast Archai, they get to have a 5-up ward since they're in range of the Ossifector over there. And he ends up warding 12 of the 27 damage. Only takes 15, which kills 2 Morghasts. So killing 2, not too bad. Like, we're still happy. Like, the 2 hitting me back, they're not going to hurt me that bad. And they swing in and they end up doing 3 damage. No big deal. And then that's it for the turn. So that was our only combat. We failed over here, so these guys are probably in trouble. And we score max, 1-2 more. Got our battle tactic, which was magical dominance. Everybody was out of unbind range. Easy peasy, 5 points. We're going into the bottom of 1, Bonereapers. All right, for him, he ends up going with magical dominance for his battle tactic as well. And the trick to that is his Ossifector has the Dark Acolyte command ability, which means that if he casts a spell from his lore and it goes off, it can't be unbound. So I had the Gracier in unbind range, but that's one trick to get around it. So he ends up casting a spell and it's Drain Vitality, which gives the Warbringer -1 to his save and -1 to hit. Bummer. For my heroic action, I end up Finest Houring the Warbringer. So we're +1 to save from Mystic Shield, +1 to save from Finest Hour, and we can all-out defense in combat, so he's going to be fine. That ends up being it for the hero phase, and we just jump into movement. He brings the Cavalos Death Riders. They go down this way. He's going to use those to try and take the objective. The 6 Stalkers, he gives them the run and charge command, so they run over this way, and they're going to end up trying to kill these Plague Sensor Bearers. Archon flies over here to the objective to take it. On this mission, if the Morghast retreat out, they count as 0 on the objective, any unit that retreats. So he needed to have something else over here other than the Morghasts to be able to take the objective from me. The Morghasts, they end up retreating anyways, just because Bonereapers, one of their commands is they can retreat and charge, and they just have like infinite command points. It's kind of silly. But when he does this retreat move, I see that he's going to try and bring like the Liege Cavalos over. He's going to try and gang up on the Warbringer and try and kill him. So I go for a redeploy, and we hit it. We end up getting like a 5-inch redeploy. And we go back here, again, just trying to limit how much space he can, how many bases he can squeeze into combat with me. The 3 of Mortis Guard just shift over this way. The Ossifector goes over here with them to have the bodyguard effect. And the Liege Cavalos ends up coming over here anyways. That's it. We go into charges. The Stalkers make it in on this side. The Cavalos, he ends up charging these Plague Sensor Bears here just to proc their mortal wounds. Like, we both know the Stalkers are going to clap these guys. They're gone. So he's just getting a couple extra mortals to help out with that. Then the Morghasts, they charge in. Then we go to the combat phase. And he ends up fighting with the Stalkers first. As predicted, boom, they blow up all of the Plague Sensor Bears. They're gone. And that was a casualty of my bad play. So I shouldn't have sent the Warbringer in. Like, I could have just sat back here like my original plan was. He wouldn't have made it into my screens. And then the next turn, like, I could have jumped out and hit him. But I took the risky play. I didn't make the charge. And so we're paying the price right there. Boom. That does let me fight with my Warbringer. And my Warbringer totally whiffs. I don't kill anything. I think we do like 2 damage. The Morghasts, they hit me back. And they also whiff. They do 3 damage again. Not too bad. Warbringer's alive, so at least I'm happy there. The important part of the turn, after all the combats are over, is that by putting all the clan rats on these 2 objectives and keeping them far away, he only scores 4 points instead of 5, because he doesn't control more. And again, that's where I just should have played it safe. I could have just had the easy 1-point lead and been okay. But Warbringer lived, PCBs died. We go into battle round 2, roll priority, Skaven win the prio. Alright, so for round 2, we're going for Surround and Destroy for our battle tactic. We already have 1 Grace here in the corner by a gnaw hole. I can run this Plague Priest over here to get into this gnaw hole. Then we can have 1 more in the back, and it's going to work out for us. So we go through the hero phase. I end up going into Big Glaive stance for Screech, which gives him damage 3, rend 3. And again, I'm playing pretty risky, so I'm going to send him straight into Archon. Archon's 14 wounds. Screech can do it on a good day, so I'm full send in here. We're going to go Finest Hour for +1 to wound, and then I'll probably end up Titanic dueling him for my Monstrous Rampage. So I'll be +1/+1 even if he roars me. We're going to try and drop Archon. Hopefully the Warbringer can kill those Morghasts. Then all he's going to have left is like kind of power on this side of the board, and I'm going to be able to outscore him the rest of the game. But we go into the hero phase. I cast Mystic Shield on Screech, get it. I cast Arcane Bolt on Screech, we get it. We cast Dreaded Death Frenzy on the Warbringer, we get it. But the only reason we got those is because we started with this Purple Grace here. The Stalkers ended up being within 12 inches of him. And this guy knows Blizzard, so boom, we cast the Blizzard. It goes off on like a 15 when I'm using my Primal Dice. He uses his Primal Dice and doesn't unbind it. And normally into Null Myriad, like they just ignore it on a 2. But he didn't keep the Ossifector wholly within 9 inches of these guys. When he piled in the combat, they're just a little bit out. And so I end up hitting the Stalkers, and we end up killing 2 of them with the Blizzard. I think we do like 14, 15 damage, but he hits some wards, and only 2 die. So not a huge game-swinging moment, but it did eat up that Primal Dice of his, and killed a couple Stalkers is always good. So that allowed us to get the rest of our spells off, though, which was a bigger deal. And then we go to movement. For movement, we just take these clan rats, we get them out of Screech's way, and we're starting to creep them up a little bit towards this other objective, so I can potentially take that from him later. Screech goes up. He ends up hitting a redeploy, but since he's pinned behind this terrain piece, and that terrain piece, like, there's no real way for him to get far away, so like he got 2 inches, but either way, you're not getting out of the charge range of Screech. Warbringer, we kept him in because we're going to try and kill those Morghasts. And then over here, I end up just fanning out these clan rats just to build up a better screen. And I don't really want to make a play over here. Like, the Sensor Bears aren't going to make it. The clan rats don't do damage. The Hellpit's going to have to roll a like monster movement to even get into a good charge range. So we're just going to sit tight, try and make him score 4 next turn by having more objectives than him. So we did that. We got the Hellpit moved over a little bit. We put the Plague Sensor Bears up onto the objective as well. And we're just going to tell them come get it. For our battle tactic, we end up running this Plague Priest over here, wholly within 6 of the Gnawhole. The other Plague Priest comes down here, wholly within 6. Grease here comes up. Again, just keeping everybody in buff range. We got Death Frenzy and Rabid Rabbit on these guys again, so they're ready to fight. And then end of movement to score my battle tactic, I've got to take this guy from this Gnawhole, jump him all the way to the opposite corner. So he's by one edge, hidden behind the Gnawhole. This guy jumps into this Gnawhole, pops out from the same one. So now I have those 2 edges that are outside my zone, 1 in my zone. Battle tactic achieved. We do some shots with our tails. We do like 1 or 2 damage. We go into the charge phase and Screech makes it in. One thing I forgot of this drill, I ran him down here just to touch this objective. And that's just to make him like, if he totally abandons this objective, this guy will take it. So it just means that 1 unit is going to have to stay on this objective to deal with that. And like, this is a 60-point dude that sucks. Like, his only job is to bring the Plague Sensor Bears in. He did it. So any kind of value like this that I can get out of him is just gravy. But we make our charges, and we go to combats. We end up hitting the Roar on the Morghast this time, and we Titanic Duel here, and Archon ends up Titanic Dueling me back. He knows that I'm going to fight with the Warbringer first to try and kill those Morghasts, so he's trying to put a good chunk into Screech to try and hurt him. But we fight with the Warbringer first, and this time he does it. He clears the 2 Morghasts, so we're looking good. Archon ends up fighting into Screech. He's also Finest Houred. When I Finest Houred in my hero phase, he knew that I was making the play, so he also did that to be more defensive. So he hits me, does like 5 damage to Screech. Not too bad. And now Screech, I'm +1/+1, so we're hitting on 2s, wounded on 2s. We've got this Glaive that's rend 3, damage 3. We have 6 attacks with it. We swing, and I roll all 1s except for 1. We only get 1 attack through, and we do 3 damage with the Glaive. And I think he wards all 3 of them. Just a nightmare. The Plague Reapers, they have 8 attacks, also 2s and 2s. These ones are only rend 1, 2 damage. And 4 of those end up sneaking through, so we do 8 damage to Archon. Not what we were looking for. We wanted to try and kill him. Those Glaive attacks missing, kind of a bummer. But again, like, I went for the risky play, sending him in to get it. And I don't feel too bad about it. Like, not a huge risk. Archon's not going to kill Screech, but I didn't kill Archon. A little bit of a bummer. And then that's the turn. I hold 1/2 more. We got our Surround and Destroy, so we score 5. And it goes over to Bonereapers, bottom of 2. All right, we go into bottom of 2 with Bonereapers. His battle tactic this time is he's going to charge a Cavalos unit, and they're going to stay in combat. He's going to try and just hit these clan rats and hang out. Pretty easy. And hero phase, he goes for Curse of Years and doesn't get it off. No real big spells go off, so we're just going to jump straight into movement. First up, he retreats Archon out, setting up a retreat and charge opportunity. I try to redeploy Screech just to get out of range, but I roll a 1. The Immortus Guard, they move back here. Ossifector comes down here. Cavalos come over here. They move like 9, getting ready for their charge. And I didn't save my redeploy for over here, just because there's so many units. Like, if I get a 6-inch redeploy, like, it's not really going to get me out of range. Like, he could just, okay, I'm going to charge the PCBs and get into you anyways. The Stalkers, they come over this way. And they run and charge, and he's trying to get down in here to these clan rats as well. He's got the Ossifector touching the objective, which is going to take it away from this guy. So he wants to hit a charge here to get these clan rats, maybe blow up the clan rats and then get into the PCBs, or kill the clan rats, get into the Hell Pit. One or the other, just get them into the action, make a play on this objective. But when we get to the charge phase, he ends up failing the charge here. Rolls short, so he ends up just going over to this grinder instead and killing him. The Leech Cavalos had moved up, and he makes a charge into Screech. And he rolls like an 11 on the charge, does like 6 mortal wounds to me on the charge. Bummer. Archon charges in, hits Screech. And then the Immortus Guard, they needed like a 9-inch charge, and he got that too. So everybody's into Screech. All right, that's the end of charge phase. Archon hits a big roar into Screech, so I can't all-out defense. And we start fighting. The Mortis Guard fight first, and they just kill Screech. Between the mortal wounds from the Leech Cavalos and that damage, boom, he dies. The Cavalos had charged in. They did like 5 mortal wounds too. And when they charge in, they can pile in 6. So he ended up piling over this way. Again, he didn't want me to clear clan rats and then lose some to bravery and end up pulling out of 3 inches of combat. So he wanted to get a model within 3 inches of the Plague Sensor Bears to ensure that he can't fail his battle tactic unless I kill him. And so I made that play for the kill. So I piled in the Plague Sensor Bears afterwards. We ended up only being able to get like 4 or 5 of them in. Did an all-out attack from one of the Grey Seers or Plague Priests right nearby, and we kill 4 of them. Like, I needed 1 more attack to get through to kill him, but we didn't. So 1 Cavalos lives, he's going to score his battle tactic. On this side, I think the Grinder hits for like 4 damage in the Stalkers, but Stalkers kill the Grinder. He's a 6-up save with 3 wounds, like he was dead. And then afterwards, Archon, he had charged, so he's still eligible to pile in. So he piles in Archon this way, bites into the Clan Rats and spikes pretty hard. Between the combat damage and bravery, I'm left with only 5 Clan Rats over here. But that's it, that's the turn. He only scores 1, 2 in his battle tactic for 4 points. So I'm up a couple points. That's where we want to be against Bonereapers, but it's going to be a big priority roll. If he wins the prio, he's going to be able to collapse these guys in on the Warbringer and potentially drop him. Then the Stalkers can come down here to make a play to clear some bodies to try and take this objective, but I don't think they're going to do it. So I'd like, this one's kind of safe. Warbringer's in danger though. So we go into the top of 3, and I win the priority roll, and that's huge. And the reason why is just my plan here is I'm going to retreat these Clan Rats out, let them regenerate some bodies. We're going to rally them next turn. It's going to be awesome. We're going to charge the Warbringer over this way, and Archon's already hurt. The Warbringer does an incredible amount of damage. We both know Archon in combat dies. On this side, between the Plague Sensor Bears that are left, I think we lost a few in the last round, but we're going to kill this Cavalos unit. If not, we've got the Hell Pit right here, so he's going to lose this Cavalos unit. So we're going into bottom of 3, and we're both looking at the board state, and between the Clan Rats over here regenerating and rallying, the Warbringer being too hard to take down, how many bodies I have over here, and just him only having the few things left, it's looking bad. And then the icing on top of that is, now that Archon's dead, with my Grey Seers and Plague Priests being able to hide in the corners of the board behind the Gnawholes, he literally can't kill them, so he can't stop my grand strategy. And so his opportunities to gain those points back just aren't there. And so he ends up looking it over for a few minutes, and then ends up conceding the game. Just the Rats, we got too far ahead that turn 3, and that's it, the Rats take it down. So that's how it went down. The Rats are 45-10. And if you want to schedule your own challenge game, just shoot me an email at warpfireminis@gmail.com. The challenge is going to end kind of in the middle to end of December, so just get it in now. Now's the time. And as always, if you need any models, check us out at warpfireminis.com. Thanks for watching.